Hello. Your regularly scheduled programming was supposed to be me reacting to all of the announcements from the Xbox Summer Game Showcase. I made that video, I recorded it, I started to edit it, and I hated it. The audio, whack! My energy, whack! The joke to commentary ratio, whack! It was terrible, and now I am sick. Whack. Hence my death cocoon. I don't want to be on the bed right now. The floor is more comfy.
I'm dying, you fool!
I've gotten rid of the blanket. It's too hot, but I'm still too cold. I love being sick.
There are currently over 100 million people who play Call of Duty every month.
Fucking disgusting.
Maybe the statute of limitations is up on talking about the Xbox Game Showcase. Perhaps that ship has sailed. Sailed for 13 seasons like Sea of Thieves. Maybe our attention spans are just so limited that an event that literally just occurred is already so far in the past that it might as well have happened at the dawn of man. In the video that I made that no longer exists, I reacted to every single game announcement. 30 games, and wouldn't you know it, I didn't exactly have incredible insight into every single one, because I couldn't, because that's ridiculous. In several instances, my commentary boiled down to me saying, hey, this game isn't something I'm necessarily interested in, but it doesn't look bad, I guess. Hard-hitting stuff. Cronkite-level commentary there. Don't get me wrong, there were some moments from the video I'm sad to lose. I called Starfield bread the game again and said the Shattered Space update was like getting garlic bread delivered to your table instead of the stale, bleached white offering of the base game. I got mad at some racist grifters that were complaining about Yasuke, the real-life retainer of Oda Nobunaga, being in Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I really sung the praises of Expedition 33 and other new IPs that were shown at the event. There is one thing from the show that I want to endure illness and bad editing to discuss again in full detail. Evergreen material that will never have an expiration date to talk about and remember. I suppose that would mean I could wait until I was in better health to talk about it, but you know what, right now the Dayquil be hitting, and this is my flu game, baby. Ultimately, I find this discussion to be important because more so than the game announcements, there were some elements of the game showcase that stood out to me as jarring because of Microsoft's recent reputation. The show needed to be solid, and it was. It reminded me a lot of shows that Microsoft has done in the past where they've had to make up for some bullshit they've done. But no matter how solid the show was, the reason why they were under such pressure to deliver is because of their recent business practices. The fire that Microsoft is under has been smoldering for a while now, but it really picked up enough oxygen to burn down an entire forest recently. The closure of studios like Arcane Austin and Tango Gameworks were atrocious decisions, and then they cluelessly came out and said, hey, we need more games like Hi-Fi Rush, which was created by one of the studios that they just closed. We'll file that under oops. And with how recent those events were, Microsoft surely didn't have enough time to whip up an I'm sorry level announcement, so this show is most likely what they have had planned for a while. Still, I did feel like some of the games were announced maybe a little prematurely, a little bit earlier than they would have liked, but I think they felt they had no choice. So they showed off a bunch of stuff. 30 stuff to be exact. But they would have had a lot more stuff to announce if they weren't unceremoniously closing studios. Possibly even 32 stuff. Now, I won't lie, having to do this showcase so close to a major company black eye sucks. They were in an unenviable position, but I do not feel bad for them. This whole thing is their error, and they rightly bear the blame. Still, the smart thing to do in this situation would have been to keep your head down, announce your games, and say nothing. But they did say something. Both Phil Spencer and Matt Booty discussed how proud they were of the teams under their umbrella. A harmless quote literally any other time, but right now? Dipshits? Like, why would you even mention the studios? Like, how can you tell someone you love them when you're wiping your ex's blood off the guillotine? What is this, the 6 studios of Microsoft the 8th? Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, who survives? That's a good question, because I can't in all honesty say that all of the studios who had projects announced at this showcase are still going to be around in a couple of years to announce something else. It's just a gut feeling I have, and I'm definitely trusting gut feelings lately because they are rumbling. But Microsoft also said something very interesting toward the end of the show. I'll play you the clip.
It's our mission to make Xbox the best place for you to play by including the titles from our own studios in Game Pass at launch, by bringing your games into the future with our commitment to game preservation.
Game preservation? Microsoft being committed to game preservation is so fucking comical to me because they clearly don't know what it means. Like, what exactly do you think game preservation is? Game preservation means that you always have access to it. Always. And that's why these online-only nightmare games are so galling, because who's to say they'll even exist in a year from now? What happens when your super detailed roadmap gets abandoned because some idiots up at the top really misjudged what they had? What's being preserved when a game goes offline forever? What's being preserved when a studio gets closed? What's being preserved when everything is digital? And what is preserved when the thing that you bought isn't a thing that you own? Physical media forever. That said, I do think there were some things to be excited for in the showcase. It's important to compartmentalize these emotions. Be critical, but be reasonable. But also, don't be a weird fanboy. Like, you can't be saying, oh, they're the best company around. Well, what about all the studios that they murdered?
What murder?
Now, there are clearly a ton of talented individuals all over the industry that are doing some truly brilliant work, and they should be commended for that. As important as it is to be mindful of these quotes from Microsoft, and as important as it is for us to hold their feet to the fire and make sure that they don't dick us all over, we can't forget the hardworking people who are making the games that we love. Their passion is undeniable, and even in the games that I'm not necessarily excited for, there is still plenty to be impressed by. So support the games that you want to support. If you believe in the devs, or you believe in the people behind the project, or the project itself, then support it. And also, I think it is important, don't forget about the indies. We're kind of in a golden age of indie games right now. Like, if you're mad that a major publisher is sitting on an IP that you like, you could pretty safely bet that someone somewhere is working on something inspired by it. For example, I'm a big Mega Man fan, and there are games like Protodroid Delta, Berserk Boy, and Lunar Lux that are made by people that love those series, and they have done a fantastic job, and their games deserve all of the love. Now, as for Microsoft, I'll be fair, and I'll give them a little bit of credit. As far as the show goes, they did the best they could with what they had. Things still don't look great for them, but they don't look worse. And honestly, that's the best outcome they could have hoped for. There is still a ton of work for them to do before anyone should ever consider trusting them, and that goes for consumers and developers alike. But in conclusion, no Blink sequel was announced. 0 out of 10. Video games are dead to me. And I think now I am dead to me. Good night.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. And if you did, do the stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Perks on Patreon for patrons. Support me if you can. Love me if you must. And have a great rest of your day. And wish me well.